robbery. Hands in the sky if you got a dream. Or nothing was blocking me. I was the problem, the only one stopping me. I didn't like it, I had to refocus. Now I'm devoted, I know where I'm going. Controlling emotions, I'm owning the moment. In order to get it, see, you gotta want it. Don't make a living break. Confessions over these 808s. Don't sleep on the key, better stay away. I mean, for heaven's sake, I'ma be the best. Came from the endless, lane walk games, beat you with the chest. Beating on my chest, trying to get my rest. Watch me while I flex. Every win is a blessing, and every L is a lesson. So when I run into rejection, I know it's only redirection. I see the blessings right beside me. The chances are quite unlikely. I do it like I'm in my Nikes. Don't make excuses, they never excite me. Quitting was never an option.
Nestled in the Finger Lakes region of upstate New York, Watkins Glen is a historic road course that has hosted a variety of top-tier racing series, from NASCAR to IMSA and to Formula One. And tonight, it will virtually host the Online Speedway Racing League Premier Series. Good evening, race fans, and welcome to Split Second Broadcasting's coverage of the Whelen 100 at the Glen, race number 12 of the OSRL Premier Series. I'm Hunter Brittle, and alongside me in the booth is my good friend Elliot Henderson, ready to bring you all the action of this late-season left-right road race. Tonight's a little special, Elliot. Normally the Premier Series utilizes the ARCA car for its road races, but tonight they're going to be wheeling their usual Gen 4 stock cars around this 2.4-mile surface. What can we expect from this more powerful car here at the Glen tonight?
Probably a little bit more tire wear than what we're used to seeing. The ARCA car obviously has a little less horsepower under it. The Gen 4 gives you a good boost of power compared to the other car that we've used at these road courses. But that's something these guys have dealt with all season pretty much with this tire wear. So not a lot different than what they've been dealing with. And we'll probably see them have to wheel those rear tires under them all night long. The question is who's going to be able to do it the best, and we've seen guys in the past be able to handle this type of racing really well. Josh Chin comes to mind. However, he didn't qualify tonight, and we'll start towards the rear. But you've got your usual suspects up there that we've seen run really well the past few weeks, being Joe Armstrong and William Schmidt, Cole Freilich, all starting up inside the top 5. But Nate Stewart, Nathan Walker are two guys that I think we're going to have to keep our eyes on tonight. Obviously, Stewart, coming from a road racing background, ran Circuit Gilles Villeneuve earlier this season, and Aiden Walker, I believe new to the league, ran last week. Pretty solid run there, but coming in tonight to potentially turn some heads again.
Yeah, based on recent performances and overall repertoires, and just looking at the point standings, that top 7 right there, top 8 with Bryden Lindauer there in 8th, makes up a really good crop of drivers to be contending at the front all night long here at the Glen in this one. Pace car is getting ready set to roll off here, and we will just get started here in a moment with our pace laps, Elliot. But before they take off, let's take a look at the points. We mentioned we are late in the season here. 3 races to go in the Premier Series event, or the Premier Series rather. Cole Freilich holds a 20-point lead. This not counting the drop week, however. With the drop, it's about a 22-point lead back to William Schmidt, and then another 22 points back to Kendall Carpenter. Those 3 have been the class of the field all season long. What do we think tonight's gonna look for these 3 guys? I mean, at the last road course race in Gilles Villeneuve, those 3 guys were the talk of the town, and nobody could even touch them.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of names towards the middle part of this list that we're not really focused on lately, being Nolan Sanford, Bryden Lindauer, Harry Grindell. All these guys, they run up front on a weekly basis, but they just don't really have the top 5s to show for it or the potential wins. I think those are guys that, as we go a little bit further into the season over the next few weeks, might start to turn heads a little bit more. But to your point, Freilich, Schmidt, Carpenter have kind of just been the guys to focus on this season. The road courses aren't really any different. Schmidt's been really fast. Freilich's been a top 5 guy. But Carpenter's usually the one that lacks in qualifying and then makes up for it on pace. So I expect all those guys to be contending for a top 5 tonight. Obviously, 2 of them starting inside the top 5. But don't forget about guys like Jack Painter, He also, I believe, did not qualify tonight, or he qualified all the way back in 14th. He had a really rough go of it last week at Iowa, and is looking for a big rebound after dropping some points. Was the guy that was fourth and contending with these guys earlier, but after a couple rough weeks has found himself outside the top 5 in points, looking for a rebound this week.
And we'll keep an eye on Jack all night long to see if he can march his way forward through this field here as the field heads off into the carousel for the first time behind the pace car. Let's take you through the field here with your starting lineup. Starting on pole tonight, Joe Armstrong. We talked about him with his multiple wins this season, continuing to show that power that he's got behind the wheel with Nate Stewart to his outside with that road racing background. Look for those two guys to be prominent all night.
Aiden Walker coming off that weird off-strategy call after the mistake last week at Iowa, ended up rebounding, but starting up inside the top 5 for the second week in a row. William Schmidt to his outside, trying to cut down that points lead to Cole Freilich in 4th.
And speak of the devil, Cole Freilich lines up in the 5th position, still searching for that elusive first win of the season. Will it be here tonight at the Glen? To his outside, Ryan Vargas of Xfinity Series real life fame makes another go at it in the OSRL Premier Series. He lines up in the 6th position.
And 3rd place in points, Kendall Carpenter will line up 7th tonight with Bryden Lindauer in 8th.
Gabe Wood lines up in the 9th position with Chris Pervalarkis to his outside, rounding out that top 10.
Eric Grandel line up in 11th with Isaac Johnson right there in 12th.
Caden Reif rolls off from the 13th spot with Jack Painter. We've already talked about him looking for a bounce back night here. He rolls off from the 14th spot.
Jackson Sims making a return up in the 15th position with Josh Stoltz running 16th.
Nolan Sanford sitting pretty well in the points as well. You saw on the graphic earlier. He rolls off from the 17th spot, looking for him to make his way forward tonight with Mo Perry to his outside in that 18th starting spot.
And Jonah Malashak will start from 19th tonight with Gavin Newton to his outside in 20th.
Andrew Brodsky rolls off from the 21st position with Nick Roten to his outside in 22nd.
Joshua Chin will be rolling off in 23rd tonight. Jeremy Cook in 25th. I'm trying to see what order this is in, but it's a little messed up. I believe the rest of the field who did not qualify, Josh Pinn, Stephen Gibson, John Daniels, Levi Wolf, Frankie Disarlo, and Jeremy Cook, along with Marcus Vanderlee, will round out the rest of the field.
And that'll just about do it for our through the field under pace for the first time tonight. And like we talked about, Elliot, there's some heavy hitters there in the back of the pack. We're going to have to be looking from both sides of this pack early on to see who's making moves from the back coming forward and who's up front contending for this win. 40 laps here at the Glen as the pace car makes its final way down the short chute here before we get 2 more turns, and then we'll let her rip down into that tight right turn number 1 here tonight. It looks like it's going to be a good one, Elliot. Final thoughts before we get going here.
I'm going to watch Stephen Gibson. He's lining up 26th here all the way at the back. Him and Josh Shin are going to try to pick their way through here. Obviously, both very fast guys, but going to watch for them to see what they can do off the start.
Pace car makes that final right and then a hard right here down on the pit road. The field is in control. Or rather, Joe Armstrong has the field in his control. The green flag is out. We are away, and we are racing here at the Glen with Nate Stewart challenging to his outside here. It's going to be 3 wide back there. Cole Freilich looking to make moves early. He's down on the inside. Can't quite make it stick, though. He'll slip back to 5th as they head up into the S's.
A lot of comfortable room given. Looks like Freilich not able to make his way inside that top 4 right behind William Schmidt. Vargas following them with Carpenter, who's made up a couple spots potentially right there about 7th place.
They all single file out now. Joe Armstrong leads that field like a freight train down into the bus stop for the first time tonight. Going to be looking to take nice and smooth down here, but farther back in the pack, it looks like they're 4 wide, and Kendall Carpenter is off in the bus stop. Missed that second turn entirely, makes the rejoin back onto the track, but that is a huge hit to his efforts tonight. On lap number 1, he'll fall back all the way to roundabout. I believe that's about the 14th, 15th position there with Jack Painter to his outside.
Yeah, it might be closer towards 20th, but Painter was 14th. So Kendall should be right around that top 15 spot, but he's going to have to put some work in over the next few laps to make up that ground now.
Absolutely. As here, the field comes back around to complete lap 1. Joe Armstrong now with roughly a seventh car length lead over the 67 of Nate Stewart, starting to stretch it out of here a little bit. We'll see if he can set sail as we ride on board with Kendall Carpenter here, back just now getting out of turn number 1. He's got a lot of ground to make up, Elliott, but I think if anybody in this field has the speed to do it, it's Kendall Carpenter. He's been on point all season long, had a great showing of it, and who got loose there coming through the bus stop, or rather through the S's. I believe that's the 42 or the 43 of Bryden Lindauer. An excellent save there, as once again we come through the bus stop here. A little smoother this time around for Kendall Carpenter as they head off into the carousel.
Yeah, he does have some guys attacking from behind, though. Josh Chin not too far behind him. Steven Gibson's still back there. Like I said, we're going to see if these guys can make their way up through there. Josh Chin, obviously really fast the last time we were at Sebring, and we're just going to have to see how quickly he can get up there. He had to throw away his qualifying run, joined the session pretty late, so didn't get to put a lap in, but has already gained a bunch of spots and just finds himself up inside the top 20.
Great efforts moving forward. Let's take a look also at some guys who have moved forward here. Joshua Chin, we talked about him in the pre-race. He's already up to the 17th place position from that 24th starting spot. He's going to continue to march forward. You have to assume with that kind of pace early on in this event. He looks to be about your biggest mover here with Steven Gibson hot on his heels, though, in 19th from 26th.
And it looks like Carpenter has lost from 7th to 13th. The bigger gainer inside the top 15 was Josh Stoltz, went from 16th up to 11th. So 5 spots gained for him in the first couple laps here. Meanwhile, the whole top, I'd say 6, 7, hasn't really changed hands too much aside from Kendall Carpenter obviously dropping out. But Gabe Wood's gone from 9th to 7th. And Harry Grindell's gone from 11th up inside the top 10 to 9th. We've got someone in the wall. I believe that's Jack Painter once again. A frustrating day for him. I'm not sure if he just overcooked it or what. We'll have to get a replay for you up in a second. But Jack Painter, that's potentially a race ender right there. May have taken a shot from Josh Chin to get put in the outside wall there.
That is heavy contact there. You can see that right front corner there bent all the way in, potentially making contact with that tire there. As we get a slow motion look from him. It looked like he got tagged. Nothing of his doing. Got tagged by the 93 of Josh Chin. People take the bus stop at different speeds here. It's a very intricate and tricky part of this racetrack. Dare I say, the most intricate part. And Josh Chin was a little more comfortable than the 97 of Jack Painter, and it showed right there as it results with heavy damage to the nose of that 97 car. So an unfortunate go of it or unfortunate start to the race for Jack Painter here, as he is now on pit road servicing his damage.
And I mean, that's just been the tale of Painter's season the last 3 or 4 races here. It's just the fact that every race he's been in the last 3 or 4 weeks, he just seems to find trouble or trouble finds him. He's not really doing anything wrong. I mean, there's been races where we've seen him run top 5 all night and then finish back in 20th. He just can't have anything go right, and it's really cost him in the points now. He finds himself outside the top 5, and this is another big hit here today.
Back up at the front, this top 6 here looks to have put a little bit of a gap. Well, I'd say top 6 got a big gap, and then probably back to 8th there is where the huge gap opens up there in between Ryan Vargas and Gabe Wood there, between that 6th and 7th place spot. The top 6 starting to check out here, and that's really what we talked about there on the top of the show. That's where all the big names are at. Joe Armstrong, Nate Stewart still leading the pack. I mean, first through 6th has stayed right where they started, and they continue to show the way here. 5 laps into this 40-lap event.
You can see the 98 Caden Rife. That's just how loose these guys are through the S's with that rear horsepower, with how much power these guys have in the rear wheels. The car's just sliding a lot, and you can see it more towards the back half of the field. I've seen Steven Gibson get out of shape a few times. I've seen Jackson Sims out of shape a few times. These guys are either catching the curves the wrong way or just coming up through the S's trying to put all that power down, and the rear tires are just spinning on them, even at over 100 miles an hour through there. So it's something that they're going to have to watch all night long. This is only a 40-lap race. It's not incredibly long. Only one pit stop. We didn't really talk about the strategies tonight, but they've got about 25 laps on fuel. So it really only gives you one opportunity to come in and pit and get anything done that you might need to get done. But the idea is you're just going to take 4 tires, fuel it up, and get back out there and go. But you can see Vargas get loose right there, coming over the curb in turn 1. They're just all trying to find that power and find it properly.
And every time that a car steps out, you can bet that it's just going to get worse and worse as the run goes on. You saw Vargas there step out a little bit. Now he's going to be feeling it in the exact same spot for every single lap of this run until he gets new tires. So Elliot, that begs the question we were talking about. You brushed on the strategy or the limited amount that there is with this only being a one-stop race. A 25-lap pit window and a 40-lap race, that gives you about you've got a 5-lap window or so to where you can come in and pit. Do you pit immediately as soon as you can make it to the end with 25 or 24 laps to go, or do you run this first run all the way out and then pit on lap number 25 and then have better tires for the last 20 laps the last 15 laps of this race?
I think you'll definitely see some guys try the alternate strategy, but in most cases, and especially in iRacing lately, you see the guys that stay out the longest be able to make it work the best. As Kendall Carpenter's going to look to the inside of Harry Grindell here into turn 1. Not going to make anything happen there, but usually what you want to do is stay out as long as possible and pit as soon as you're comfortable. Obviously, you don't want to give too many of these guys too much of an advantage. With someone like Joe Armstrong and Nate Stewart, if Nate comes in on lap 20, Joe's going to come in most likely on 21 or 22. He's not going to give Nate a huge advantage. But usually you're going to want to stay out about as soon as possible, because if you come in on 15 and you're going to suffer through tires, depending on how the tires fall off and where that actual curve is, you just don't want to deal with the old tires for as long as you might. As Hope Perry catches the inside guardrail going into the bus stop. These guys are really pushing the limits there as we continue to watch this battle between Harry Grindell and Kendall Carpenter.
Yeah, and Carpenter's been on the attack on Grindell for a couple laps now, as now we see Grindell looking now to the inside of one Isaac Johnson there for that ninth spot. It's going to get hairy here. They're going to go side by side in the final corner here. Harry Grindell to the outside. He's going to have the power down on the outside. Isaac Johnson it looks like he's going to concede the spot here, but how does he manage the attacking Kendall Carpenter as they fire off down into turn number 1? Isaac Johnson, Harry Grindell still side by side as they sort it out on the exit of 1, heading up into the S's.
Carpenter's going to get a bit aggressive here. He needs to pass one of these guys at a minimum through these S's. Don't look behind too quickly, because there's Joshua Chin making his way up through the field, now up inside the top 15 in 12th, nearly up inside the top 10. He's there now after they get through the S's. He's going to look to the inside of Isaac Johnson as Carpenter has made the pass and now set sights on Harry Grindell. Both of them have gone around Isaac Johnson, who's now lost 2 spots through the S's.
You're absolutely right, bringing Josh Chin into the mix, Elliot. He has been on the charge here, and now he's got these 3 guys in his sights, laser focused. But for the meantime, it looks like Isaac Johnson might have another peek to the inside of Carpenter. Nope, thinks better of it, tucks back in line there. And Harry Grindell continues to lead this train of 4 cars around this 2.4-mile circuit. Harry Grindell, not a slouch at road racing either in his own right. Won the OSRL late model series race here, or not here, rather, at VIR on Tuesday night. So congratulations to him. He's got some skill here as he continues to wheel this machine around this racetrack in the top 10, sitting 9th right now.
And he's shown it. He's been around there all night. Started 11th, currently 9th. Has kind of just been comfortable where he is, and that just means he hasn't really used his stuff up. You can see him kind of gap Kendall Carpenter here as well as Josh Chin. So obviously still has a good bit of rubber on those tires and not really wearing them down too much. I believe Carpenter, you got to figure, has kind of run through his stuff a little bit harder, having to come back from about 13th or 14th back and move his way back up towards the top 10 here. But Josh Chin has been really good at saving his stuff and has made it work really well. Obviously, we talked about him and Gibson being right next to each other. Gibson still struggling all the way down in 16th, despite gaining 10 positions. Meanwhile, Chin all the way up to 11th still and holds about a 5-second gap over Gibson, who started back there with him.
boy, you can see these cars every time they hit a curve, especially in the bus or a curb when they hit the bus stop, especially where they just bounce all over the place and they look like they're on driving on beach balls. Elliot, how do you maintain with so much power that this car has? How do you keep the car under you going over all those curbs and just trying to gather it back up and go and then attacking right into the carousel there? How do you keep control of this high-powered car?
I think a lot of that's honestly luck at this point. I think you'd be better off asking Josh Shin or someone, because I don't know how they can manage it in some aspects. Obviously, you're just kind of letting it float. Like, you can see Kendall Carpenter just letting the rear end slide around, and some guys are more comfortable with a loose race car, and some guys are more comfortable with a tight race car. But wow, Carpenter got a little too much of the apron right there, and you can see it's luck at the end of the day. In certain circumstances, he ate that curb a little bit too hard, and it took him for a ride. We'll get a replay right here of it.
It looked like the car bit when it came right back down after that first curb, and he went straight instead of making that left-hander. Eerily similar to what happened. Ooh, I changed that. He got in there deep, a lot deeper than I think Harry Grindel was intending to, and so he had to check up for that 70 car to prevent running in the back of him. So good racecraft by Kendall Carpenter to prevent an accident. Unfortunately, it's going to cost him a good 4 seconds or so on that pack that he was racing with. But the staying out of the, or rather, that incident looked eerily similar to his happening on lap number 1, where he missed that second turn in the bus stop, proving to be tricky here tonight, especially for that number 20, who's looking to make advances on his championship rivals, Cole Freilich and William Schmidt, who are running 4th and 5th right now.
Yeah, Kendall was really good to start this season. Obviously, knocked out a couple wins early on and just kind of drove away from everybody. But these last few weeks have really been difficult for him, and it all kind of started towards Bristol a few weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago, where he had a 2-lap penalty, or I believe it was a drive-through penalty that put him 2 laps down to start the race, and he could never recover from it. And every race since then, he's just kind of struggled. Rockingham, even then, he won, but it was kind of off a late strategy call, and he just kind of drove really hard to get back to the front. But we really thought we could see a bounce back from him tonight, and unfortunately, 2 quick mistakes here to start the race. We'll have to see if he can obviously get back in his head and knock out a top 10, but really frustrating start to the night for him.
We ride on board here, or right along with Isaac Johnson. I believe, is that the 67 of Nate Stewart? They're right back in front of him. Elliot, it looks like Nate Stewart might have had a little bit of an issue up there in that top little. No, I'm confused. I'm incredibly confused. That's Aiden Walker. Sorry, that's the 93, not the 33. That's what I got mixed up. My apologies, folks. As these guys up here, that this top 6 now has spread out. We talked about how they were starting to pull away from the rest of the field. The top 6 have all spread out, save this second and third battle here between Stewart and Walker, who have just been nose to tail this entire time. Walker looking for any room that he can take to get by this 67 of Nate Stewart here, as Joe Armstrong continues to pull away from these two and put laps down here. Lap number 13 out of 40 at the Glen.
Yeah, Stewart had a bit of a gain there. He was about 3/10 off of Joe Armstrong. I thought for a second we'd get a little bit of battle for the lead, but he may have made a mistake or just kind of lost the nose or lost the tires these last few laps. And now Aiden Walker putting a ton of pressure on him. Doesn't really give him a lot of breathing room to go get Joe Armstrong at this point. But these guys have all been on top of each other since the beginning of this run, and it's really entertaining to watch this battle for second. I also want to shout out Jack Painter. You got to feel for the guy. He actually just pointed out that he's made it a whole 2.5 laps the past 2 weeks without getting wrecked. He still sits on pit road, I believe, calling it a night tonight. Just very frustrating evening for him. Came in here obviously 7th in points, hoping to get back up to that top 4 in points, and not going to happen tonight. He'll have to go into these next 3 races with his tongue out a little bit.
The definition of cannot catch a break. That 97 of Jack Painter sits on pit road here for the 2nd week in a row, and we hope he has a better outing of it next week. But these past 2 weeks have not been it for the 97. as we look here at the 93 of Josh Chin, who's put Harry Grindell away and moved himself solidly into that 9th spot, cracked the top 10, and he is now actually he's gotten around Bryden Lindauer, the 43, so moved Joshua Chin up to the 8th spot, Elliot. So at what point he's about 10, 11 seconds back from the guys, from the leaders. At what point are you the leaders? Do you start looking back in your relative to see, all right, where's that 93? Because he's got the pace.
I think at least after the first pit stop, they're not obviously concerned right now, and I'm confident that Joe Armstrong's not looking for where Joshua Chin is. So, I've seen that he's about 2 or 3 tenths a lap quicker than Joe, but he's going to need clean air, which he has now, and he's going to need it for a while, which he could potentially have. He's still going to have to work through some solid traffic with Gabe Wood, Ryan Vargas, and Cole Fralick all right in front of him to get into the top 5. But I think that's something where maybe lap 30 or 35, Joe Armstrong might be looking in the mirror. But I think right now, for Joshua Chin, his biggest target is probably 4th. Anything past that would be just phenomenal.
I think anything at all to drive up into the top 10 at this point in the race. We're at 15 out of 40, just shy of 5 laps shy of halfway in this event, and he's already driven up to that 8th spot. So already a phenomenal drive for Joshua Chin, looking for more here as we get later on into this fuel run. But he's got, like you mentioned, Elliot, he's got some solid guys up in front of him. The benefit for Chin, though, is that unlike when he caught the likes of Carpenter and Grindell, where they were all packed up together and he had to really it slowed his progress. He had to tiptoe his way through there. Everybody else in front of him is pretty much spread out to the point where you can just take them on one at a time. So Josh Chin, things are looking up for that for the driver on the march here in that 93 car.
Yeah, we'll have to see lap to lap. I mean, he's already closing in on Wood and Vargas here very quickly, but he was a half-second quicker than Armstrong that last lap. If he can put a couple of those together in between these runs with these battles and having to pass these guys, he'll be there. He'll be there for sure. Again, we have 25 laps left. Pit window's open, but we'll have to see just how quickly he can maneuver this traffic and get closer to Joe Armstrong throughout this run.
You're absolutely right. Pit window is open, so everybody keep an eye on your relatives to see who's the first driver to dive on a pit road. Like we talked about that strategy earlier, I don't think we're going to see anybody try and flip it and go 25 laps in the back half of this, but look for guys to short pit, maybe around that lap 20 or 20, 19, 18 to go area. That's where you're going to see your off strategy, guys, and it's going to be very interesting to see how they can handle these tires with this high-powered car on this track as we get farther on into this one. And now we see Cole Fralick is taking the fight to his championship rival in William Schmidt here. Fralick still looking for that first win of the season, but to do it, he's going to have to go through William Schmidt to get up there with those top 3 all over the back of that 79 car right now.
Yeah, you can see William Schmidt really loose there too. It's kind of funny how all these road courses have worked out. As Fralick's going to make the move. He overshot the corner though, and Schmidt comes right back around him on the inside there. But every road course, we seem to just have little pairs of 2s. We've got a little battle between Stewart and Walker, Walker's actually past Stewart now.
Stewart's on pit road, Elliot.
Yep. Stewart has hit pit road. The gauntlet's laid down.
There's your first guy. There, yep. Well said, Elliot. Gauntlet has been thrown down by Nate Stewart. I mean, you mentioned it with his road racing background. If anybody's going to have have the confidence to make those tires last all those laps all the way to the end, I think it's going to be the 67 of Stewart. So we'll have to see where he shakes out and where everybody else pits. Elliot, does this bring other people down to pit road with him after this lap?
Oh, I think so for sure. And I think for someone like Josh Chin, as I'm watching him pass Gabe Wood, he wants to clear as much traffic as possible before he hits pit road. I think he would have done it otherwise. But I think, your fast guys like Armstrong, like Walker, they're going to have to look and potentially make a split decision here after Stewart hit pit road. Because if Stewart's going to run this long on tires, then they can too. And they've got a big enough gap over Schmidt and Fralick. They're not racing them. They're racing for this top 3 right now. And we'll have to see if Armstrong and Walker hit pit road here.
Stewart's service has been cleared. He now enters the bus stop now as the 25 of Joe Armstrong flashes by the start-finish line here to complete lap number 17 lap number 17 on the event. So no takers this time around so far through the first half of the field. Point of note, Jackson Sims also elected to come down pit road and receive his service as well. Rather, it looks like he has gone a lap down and may have disconnected from the event. He has. So Jackson Sims calling it a night here from a mid-pack performance here. But yeah, the story continues to be who's going to come down pit road. It doesn't look like anybody's going to do it this time around, as the 67 now flashes back across the line here for his lap number 17 completion, starting lap number 18.
You can see in the background there, Josh Chin is way too patient with Ryan Vargas. He had a great move through the S's, and that's where he's been fast. Is at the top of the S's is where he's making all of his passes, as Freilich is now displaced William Schmidt for that third spot. But Chin is just, he's being really patient with Vargas, and I think he needs to go. He's already lost a half second to Armstrong, and he's not going to make the pass here. He's either going to have to pit or he's going to have to pass him, because he's just losing way too much time at this point. As he looks to the outside of Vargas, Vargas still not going to concede the spot. They're going to go door to door, make a little contact. Chin will clear him around the outside, and now set sights on Schmidt and Freilich.
Well, he certainly wasn't pitting that time, but I want to note how smooth that that little left-right section there for Josh Chin compared to the 26 of Ryan Vargas. You saw the 26 get a little bit squirrely into the left-hander at first, and it opened the door for Chin to just smoothly ride right on in there and overtake and secure that 5th place spot here. So move Chin into the top 5 here, all the way back from 24th starting position.
And you can see just how much he pulls on Vargas through the S's there, as now he's getting ever closer to William Schmidt. But he lost an entire second through that ordeal, nearly 12 seconds back to Joe Armstrong now. So that's going to be a lot to have to make up later on, but he seems to have the pace so far to do it. He's just, again, got to get Schmidt and got to get Freilich as soon as possible, or he's going to find himself in trouble trying to track these guys down.
Farther on the back in the pack, Josh Stoltz looked to have a moment there, racing with Kendall Carpenter and the likes of Steven Gibson. Had a little moment coming up through the S's, lost it there. He conceded the spot back to the 21 car, so to move Josh Stoltz back to the 13th running position here. As we've got another taker on pit road, it's Josh Chin. Josh Chin has hit pit road this time, Elliot. So now he answers the 67's call with tires splitting right on lap 20, so splitting the race evenly in half. He will bring the 41 of Mo Perry and the 52 of Nolan Sanford down pit road with him. These guys are looking for fresh tires.
He overdrove the box, which is going to frustrate him later, but I was looking at Nate Stewart's times, and Nate Stewart is consistently running really low 12s or 11s. Meanwhile, Armstrong's all the way up at the 13.1s. So Nate Stewart over a second a lap quicker than everybody else up in that top 5. He could have a massive lead by the time this is all done. He hasn't raced a single soul. He's had to pass Gavin Newton, I think, but he hasn't had to race anybody else this whole time. As now you see Aiden Walker hit pit road. These guys are all starting to pit because they see how much of an advantage it's going to be to get tires. Cole Freilich is going to hit pit road this time. William Schmidt doing the same thing. Vargas continues to stay out. Armstrong continues to stay out.
And tires have died for everyone at this racetrack. Looking farther back in the pack, I just mentioned Josh Stoltz, Steven Gibson, Kendall Carpenter. Carpenter looks to pit this time, but last time through the bus stops that lap, both the 20 and the 21 of Gibson were sideways. You could, if you were standing in the carousel, you just seen their door numbers as they entered the carousel. Wild. Driving there, they managed to gather it back up and continue on. It was a very impressive piece of driving here, as now Chris Pervalarkis moves around the 99 of Stoltz, as Kendall Carpenter now comes down and gets his service, while the leaders are now pulling away there as Cole Freilich now exits pit road.
Well, we've watched Gibson race a bunch of times this season, and I'm used to seeing him a little bit out of control, but this race tonight, he is just all over the place as far as those rear tires. They are not having it. Gavin Newton pulls over for Aiden Walker, as now we see Joe Armstrong finally hit pit road, realizing that he's not going to want to give up too much time, but the damage is likely done because Nate Stewart is
already in the short shoot. He's going to be there, if not already in the lead by the time the 25 gets back out on track.
Well, by the time he was there, Aiden Walker was only in the carousel. I mean, Aiden Walker is now just going through turn 10 into turn 11 and onto the front stretch. So this is a big gap here that Nate Stewart has.
We're really going to have to see as he flashes by. Nate Stewart all the way from the second position now finally moves into that coveted lead there, and at the end of this pit cycle he will have the lead. Rather, John Daniels still has not pit, soldiering on trying to get all the tire gap that he can. But yeah, it's about a 4-second gap back to the 25, and now we're going to see that speed because from Joe Armstrong, because he is now on the chasing down Nate Stewart.
You got to wonder if maybe for Nate this is a positive. He's still running 12.1s, which is very fast. Josh Chin, in comparison, who pitted a lap or two after him, is running 11.9s. So only about 0.2 quicker than Stewart, and he's been about 2 or 3 tenths quicker than competition pretty much all day. So you got to wonder if maybe for Nate this is like, I just need to get away from people and I need to run my own races. Now he's going to clear John Daniels and have absolutely clean track in front of him with no one to deal with. But you can see that Joe Armstrong's not very far behind. So Joe gets to chase, and Nate's going to have to run for his life here.
And he's going to make those tires last the entire way. All 25 laps of this fuel run is going to be on those tires. So really, we're going to see in the later part of this run how well the 67 has kept those rear tires underneath him. How light has he been on that gas pedal getting up out of these corners where the 25 Ritz car looms large in the mirror, and I suspect it's only going to get larger as the run continues.
And for anyone counting time, Josh Chin actually lost 2 seconds through that whole ordeal on pit road. I'm not sure how that'll all equal out, but between kind of going through his box a little bit further and having to back up, and then obviously pitting a lot later than, a few laps later than Nate Stewart and about a lap or two before Joe Armstrong, he now sits 13.6 off the lead. At one point, it was down 10 seconds. He's got some work to do for the rest of this race, but he knows exactly how far he has to go and how many laps are left.
Absolutely, and another point to the points for the overall championship standings. Kendall Carpenter, you saw him there in frame with the 67 a while back. That is not for position. Kendall Carpenter has now gone 1 lap down in this one. He has scored back in the 23rd position. So a bad night turned worse for the third place driver in the standings. I don't see how you rebound from this one. It's going to be a heavy climb back up into this championship fight after a night like this, Elliot.
Yeah, for Cole Freilich now it's just, focus forward and just kind of keep on par with what you've been doing all season. Your consistency has definitely shown itself. He's had a few issues throughout the season, but overall has been very, very consistent and a little bit more consistent than Carpenter. And that's where, Carpenter has the wins, but Cole Freilich has just got the top 5s and the top 10s over everybody else to just sit here and point everybody to death, as I like to say. And that's what'll make him a champion if he can just keep it going.
But he's got to contend with that 79 of William Schmidt, who holds the second place in the championship points, as well as the 7th place on track, right behind Cole Freilich sitting in 6th. So the top 2 in points, 6th and 7th on track. They're not going to go away from each other. That's pretty much, those two are who they are racing. They're not really concerned, at least if I wasn't, if I was in those top 2, were one of the top 2, I wouldn't be concerned with anybody else on track, especially with the performance that they've got here tonight. They've obviously got top 5, top 10 speed. So I think at this point you're dueling your championship rival more than you are going for a race win here at the Glen with 3 races to go in the season.
Yeah, I'm also pretty interested in John Daniels' strategy here. He's still out there, despite everybody having hit pit road, still running 4th. We'll have to see if maybe he just thinks that those fresh tires at the end of this run will really help him to find his way back up towards the front. He obviously started 25th, so just a really off-brand strategy here compared to what everyone else is doing to potentially put himself around a top 15, top 10 spot. But I mean, it's definitely worth a gamble.
We love an off strategy here at Split Second Broadcasting. We will definitely keep an eye on the 0-2 of John Daniels, who has to be hitting pit road this time, unless he's been clutching around this racetrack here, trying to save as much fuel as possible and make this first run as long as he can. As it looks like he's gonna do just that. He'll hit pit road this time. So everyone has now pit, and all the positions will cycle back around to Nate Stewart leading, Joe Armstrong giving chase in the second spot, Aiden Walker roughly 2 seconds back in third, and then Josh Chin all the way back from 24th, without hands down your biggest mover here, as William Schmidt has now passed the 15 of Cole Freilich, moves Schmidt up into the top 5 here, and passed his championship rival there in Freilich, trying to get every point that he can in this championship fight. He's got a 22-point gap on up to Freilich in the points, so this will definitely help towards that if he can get any other points here tonight, or if Freilich drops back.
I was about to say we were going to have a really good battle for the lead there with Armstrong and Stewart, and we still do. But obviously Freilich and Schmidt changing positions is a big deal, and Schmidt obviously needs to get as many points as he can every single week with so few weeks remaining in a 22-point gap. It's going to be really hard to make that up. You can see just how close Armstrong is to Stewart, though, as we go back up in this battle for the lead. But good to see that battle between Schmidt and Freilich not going away, and it'll be interesting to see how that works, not just tonight, but over the next 3 weeks, and how that championship is decided. Armstrong, the inside door slams with Nate Stewart coming off of turn 1. Neither of them are really going to probably like that too kindly, as Stewart's going to pinch him down through the S's. No, actually gives him plenty of room, and they're going to run side by side up through here and see who comes out on top. Armstrong hitting him again. They make a little bit more contact, but Armstrong clear through the S's and can now set sights on open territory.
An excellent display on how to pass through the S's there for Joe Armstrong. Move the 25 car up to the point on lap number 27 of 40 in this event. You got to think that's the race for the win right there. I mean, if anybody was going to challenge the 25 of Armstrong, it's going to be the 67, but he is dispatched of those older tires on Stewart's car, and he is now setting sail here, already put about a half second on him. So now for Nate Stewart, it's just damage control, and how far back is Aiden Walker?
Right behind him, actually. That battle really allowed Aiden to close right in, and at this point I wouldn't even say that Joe Armstrong is really safe, and actually, Stewart gets loose off the corner, or maybe he moved over, but either way, Aiden Walker through to second, and he can now focus on Joe Armstrong. It looks like Stewart's kind of content to just ride in third here. He's got a really nice about 9-second gap back to Chin. We'll see what that cycles to. It's now 8 seconds as Chin is taking chunks out of the lead. But right now, it looks like Stewart's happy to be about third or fourth here.
I applaud the move there by Nate Stewart to let Aiden Walker go on the front stretch there. Try and just let him go and fight Armstrong. Maybe they'll both wear both of their tires out, and Stewart can come back into the picture here. He can settle down, cool those tires back off, and make another run at it, as we're at 12 to go in this event. So this is now your fight, and you got to imagine, Elliot, it's going to be a brawl here. These drivers have not left the top 3 all night long, and they're going to be going for this checkered flag here as Walker continues to trying to hang on to it down there through the short chute. He's giving it everything he's got to try and get to that back bumper of the 25.
Yeah, and again, we saw that mistake from Walker at Iowa last week. Got a little bit too much throttle in it off of turn 2 and nearly spun to the inside wall. Saved it, had to drive his way all the way back up through the field. Ended up in the top 10, potentially a top 5 if I remember correctly, out of that one. But definitely a rough go of it for him initially with that mistake at the beginning. But all of this working really well for both of them out front, and I thought Josh Chin was going to be able to close down a lot quicker and just keep going back to it, because he has been the fastest car on track, even that lap he was, but only gained a 10th. He had a big mistake or kind of moment through the S's where he was trying to lap a lap car and couldn't really get off the corner as quick as he wanted to, needed to lift and go around the outside of him. But we'll watch this battle for the lead rage on and see if Josh Chin can kind of track them down bit by bit. 9.5 seconds now with just over 10 laps remaining.
Yeah, you got to think that Josh Chin, it's as heroic as a charge as that was coming from the back of the pack. You got to think that that charge is stalled out here. He's got a 8-second gap up to the next car in third, that being the 67 of Nate Stewart, who we previously talked about. who is going to be quite content to sit and watch these two up here at the front, the 93 of Aiden Walker and the 25 of Joe Armstrong, continuing to do battle nose to tail. Walker is leaving a little bit of a gap now, but I don't have, unfortunately, I don't have the telemetry on my standings here to see when Walker pitted. But it looks like Walker has either got fresher tires or he's been managing them a lot better than Armstrong has, as he's already all over the back bumper of him, coming through the S's here and down the back straightaway.
I think they may have hit on the same lap, if I'm not mistaken, or it was actually Stewart and Walker that pitted before Armstrong. So we could just see Walker trying to really just get to Armstrong at this point and potentially use his stuff up or use more of it than what Armstrong's doing. Or maybe Walker just has his number at this point and has kind of figured something out late in this race right now, all over the back of Joe Armstrong. As you mentioned, Josh Kinn's attack has kind of petered out. He is not really able to keep that car under him through the bus stop, as I just watched, and I'm not sure that he's going to be able to keep making ground on these guys now. If they start battling really hard, it might put Stewart back in it, and it might pull Chin up there, but right now I think this is a battle between these two to sort this out for the win.
It looks like it as they continue to stay nose to tail. 10 laps to go here at Watkins Glen, and I want to take a look farther back in the pack here. We talked about Josh Stoltz, Steven Gibson. They continue to do battle here back in the 13th, 12th position with Chris Pervalarkis and Caden Reif all right there. This is a big pack here as Stoltz and Gibson are going to be side by side as they come through the short chute this time. This has been the race to watch here the past couple laps. These guys cannot get away from each other. Gibson fires it down into turn number 10, overcooks it. Here comes all three cars. Stoltz going to get by, Pervalarkis as well, and Gibson will slot back into, I believe that's going to be about the 14th spot now, as he is still under fire from the 95 or the 98 of Caden Reif.
And Gibson's got a ton of damage to the left front of that car. I don't know what he may or may not have hit, but you can see the tire completely poking out from underneath the bodywork there. So obviously dealing with some aero issues too, trying to pass all these guys after starting shotgun on the field.
And speaking of two, here comes the O2 of John Daniels on those incredibly fresh tires. Watching Caden Reif struggling through the S's, he's just got to be sitting there just confidently with his cool new tires, ready to pick his way through this pack here, much like we saw Josh Chin do it in the opening parts of this lap. So we'll have to look and see how much, or how many spots John Daniels can make up in these final 9 laps here, as he is going to work now on the 98 of Caden Reif.
Yeah, I think Daniel's strategy actually works really well for him. I'm not exactly sure. Wow, as he gets really close with Caden Reif there, that's some tight racing as he watches everything happen in front of him too. But John Daniels was running, I'd like to think about 15 to 20th, so this will put him up towards the top 15, and I'm sure he's got a little bit more pace than these 3 or 4 guys in front of him, so he should have a pretty solid chance at a 12th place finish here if he can keep it under him and get around these guys. Or maybe they all bang off each other and then kind of wreck each other in front of him. You never really know with how aggressive these guys are being back here.
Based on how this group has been racing for about the last 10 laps, and even before the pit stops, that is entirely a possibility, as Chris Pervalarkis has moved past the 99 of Josh Stoltz up into that 12th position here, as Stoltz continues to have trouble hanging on to that car, and now he's under attack from the 21 of Steven Gibson, who fires it down into the bus stop, easily gets that position. A little bit of a contact there between the 99 and the 21 going into it, but everybody hangs on to it, and Steven Gibson will solidly move into that 13th spot there and set his sights on the 49 of Pervalarkis.
And it looks like Josh Chin's fight towards the top is kind of over and done. He is 4th and not even really catching Nate Stewart, but this battle for the lead is not over. Aiden Walker is significantly better through the S's than what Joe Armstrong can do, but they're pretty much equal everywhere else. If anything, Armstrong's a little bit better at this back half of the track, like the carousel and the last couple turns here. So, I mean, I don't know. If you're Aiden Walker, how aggressive do you really want to get? Are you content to just kind of run where you are right now? Or do you try to force Joe into a mistake, make him out brake, or brake a little too late or something? But Joe Armstrong, as we've known, is equally aggressive but also very consistent and very quick at braking and getting through corners. So no surprise to see him running as well as he is, and I don't know that you'll be able to force him into a mistake here with 8 laps to go.
This brings up a good racing philosophical question for you, Elliot. In this situation here, where it's just two cars going for the lead, do you want, in this situation, would you rather be the cat in the 93 of Aiden Walker, or would you rather be the mouse in the 25 of Joe Armstrong here out leading this field? Do you want to have the lead in this one, or with the track position, or do you want to be Walker, who can sit back and see how his foe is driving and really change up and see adjust as this run goes on?
I think in this scenario specifically, I want to be Joe. You've got the fresher tires, you've got the pace, you've had the lead for most of the race. I think Aiden's had a really good time of sitting back here and watching both Stewart and Armstrong this whole race and hasn't been able to do enough with it. Can he actually adapt and make something happen in these last 5 or 6 laps? Absolutely. But I just think Joe's really got the pace right here. He's got the fresher tires. He may not even be pushing incredibly hard. So we'll just have to see what Aiden Walker really has. But I'd much rather be Joe Armstrong, where I can just focus on what I'm doing. Aiden's going to show him a bumper on the inside and just kind of, see what he can do mentally to Joe. But I just think Joe's got the tires, and he's a little bit too strong today.
It just seems like, though, that 93 gets ever closer here as he's all over that back bumper once again through the S's. A little bit of a bobble there, but he's right on his tail, Elliot. Ooh, a little bit of a step out there. Now, like you said, maybe Armstrong's not even pushing now, and now it's Walker's turn to push and try and get everything that he can out of these tires before the talent of Armstrong kind of takes over and maybe starts to pull away in this one. But for right now, Walker is not going away as they head through the bus stops and now into the carousel.
It is back and forth. I mean, last time by, Armstrong was so fast through the bus stop, but right there, Walker found another little piece and just sent it into the bus stop a little bit harder and gained that time back that he lost through the S's. And it's back and forth through pretty much every single corner here, and it's going to come down to whoever makes a mistake. And we haven't seen Armstrong make too many of them throughout the season. So I think right now, Walker is just really hoping for something, but I don't know that he's got a place that he's genuinely faster than Joe to be able to make a move happen.
It's definitely going to have to be a send down into one of these tight braking zones, maybe turn 10, the bus stop, or the carousel or something, because Armstrong has just had just good enough runs to be able to keep himself out in front of Walker anytime that 93 can launch an attack here. As we see once again, that 93, the rear end steps out ever so slightly, and those tires are going to be feeling it here with 5 laps to go in this event. This is where all that tire wear and that light feathering of the throttle pedal to try and save every bit you can get, that's where it's going to come into play right now as they bounce through the bus stop once again.
He gets such a good run through the middle of the S's, but it's all because he's in the throttle so hard that the car is stepping out on him, and he loses all of that run on the top of the S's, and that's where Joe kind of pulls him. It's really interesting to watch, especially from a rear chase cam from Aiden Walker here, and you can just kind of see the differences in the lines and how they're really driving the cars. But towards this back half of the track, I think it's kind of evened out. I think Aiden's got a lot of pace through those last couple of corners. He's just, to your point, he's got to be able to throw a nose in somewhere and potentially at a minimum scare Armstrong, or honestly he might have to throw a bumper to him and potentially move him. But with these cars, you do that, you can lift the rear tires of the car in front of you and create a really big ordeal. So he's got to be patient, he's got to be smart, but he's got 4 more laps to do it, not a lot of time. He's going to look to the inside through the S's here. They're side by side now coming up through the S's, but Armstrong still holds the lead.
That's exactly like what you said, Elliot. That top of the hill there is where Armstrong holds it. But this time the 98 and 93 looks to the inside, thinks better of it here. They're going to be bumper to bumper as they go through the bus stop. That 90, and that was a good shot of it right there where you saw the 25 go through and then the 93 immediately followed. You can see how much smoother the 25 is through that tricky section there where you saw the 93 bouncing all around, hitting the curves a little more aggressively. You can see how much he's wheeling that car, but he is still keeping right on the back bumper of that 25 as they head off into turn 10.
Smooth is fast, but if your competitor knows exactly what you're doing, it's no faster than the guy behind you if he can continue to imitate it, as Joe actually misses the apex there in the last corner, and now Aiden's got probably the best shot he's had all day. Can he outbrake him to the outside into turn 1? This is a really good chance for him because of the fact that he's so good through the S's. He can sit here and undercut him and potentially get next to Joe going up the S's. And if he can be next to him at any point through the S's, he'd be in a much better spot, but just not quite there. We'll see what he can do in the middle of the S's and on exit going up towards the bus stop.
Gets right to the bumper of Armstrong here, but Armstrong shuts the door on him. They're going to be nose to tail as they fire down the back straightaway here. So a good shot, the best shot that Walker's had thus far, goes to waste. Rather, they're down in turn 1 as they go through the bus stop. Now Armstrong's in the grass. Now he's feeling the pressure that Walker has been putting on him for the last 10 laps or so. He knows that 93 is there, and he can't afford to slip up another slip up like he did into coming out of 11. He knows he can't afford it. What will he do this time differently?
Yeah, they just keep taking shots at each other there through the bus stop on entry. One will enter hard and the other. The next lap they'll switch it up. But Aiden entered really hard last time, and then Joe this previous time just went in really hard. You can see Joe kind of running a defensive line now, showing him the outside, not really going to give him the inside. As we've now got 2 laps to go, Armstrong just barely over Aiden Walker. Aiden hasn't even led a lap all day. Armstrong, the most laps led so far. And I'd like to say it's as close as he's been, but this is about as close as he's been all day. He's right there. He's got a bumper at him, but again, right here in this section, Armstrong just starts to carry that speed a little bit better.
He's so good into the first part of the first part of the S's. Unfortunately, cannot hold it up at the top of the hill here as Armstrong maintains his advantage now. Under 2 laps to go now, and Aiden Walker's starting to run out of time and opportunities here. Just over 3 miles to go in this event. Where does he make the move? And if it comes at all, because now Armstrong's starting to stretch it out a little bit. Has Walker used up everything that he's got? It looks like it there. Real squirrely there off the carousel.
Yeah, he's going to need a miracle at this point. He absolutely almost ate the tire wall there coming off the carousel. That curb has been giving a lot of people fits. It did it through qualifying, but now with 1 lap to go, he's got about a half-second disadvantage here that he's going to make up over Armstrong. Can he do it through the S's? And I think his best bet's going to probably be around that bus stop area. He had a really good run through turn 1 there. Can he make it up through the S's?
Boy, that was a solid run through turn 1. Takes out a big chunk of that lead from Armstrong. Can he run him down through the S's here for the final time? Up off the top of the hill. Here comes the run from Armstrong here to stretch it back out down this long back straightaway. Walker all the way out in the grass trying to get everything that he can on this long stretch as they dive off down into the bus stop this time. Kenny, he closes right up to the back bumper of him. Walker is looking for everything that he can out in the carousel.
He's going to need a really good run here, and he can't make this mistake of eating the curb a little bit too much. He did a really good job through the bus stop to get there. He's just got to make sure that he stays clean here. He does, but does he have enough to get through these last 2 turns?
He's going to have to fire it in turn 10 or turn 11 here. Takes it nice and easy through turn 10. Closes a little bit. There's the move right there. Peeks to the inside. The 25 nosy there. Shuts the door. Nothing doing. And Joe Armstrong will come out of Watkins Glen in an absolutely dominating run. He will claim the checkered flag here at Watkins Glen. Joe Armstrong, your winner here tonight.
I mean, you got to give it to Aiden Walker, though. He gave everything he could to try to get that done. Nate Stewart comes home 3rd. Joshua Chin from 24th to 4th. And William Schmidt, we hadn't talked about it, but him and Freilich were in an insane battle. He's going to hold off Freilich out of the last corner. Only won that battle by about a half a second. Top 5, William Schmidt. Cole Freilich ends up 6th.
We're going to have a drag race to the line here. The 04 of Gabe Wood over Isaac Johnson just gets him at the line. They're coming out of turn 11. They were side by side. A great finish between those two back there for the 8th and 9th place position here now is the rest of your top 10, and the field starting to cycle back through the over the finish line. But yeah, you talked about it, Elliot. A great run from Aiden Walker to try and get to the back bumper of Joe Armstrong. An absolute blast of a race to watch. Can't wait to interview those two guys to see what the mentality was for that one. That was excellent.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to go snag the replay for Cole Fralick and William Schmidt, but I'm looking back at it, and they were literally door to door in the last corner. William Schmidt was trying to hold on to fifth. Fralick put a move on him, but couldn't make it happen. I believe we're pulling that replay up right now for you, but just more action going on. We always focus on the lead, but there's so many battles here as we talk about these little pairs of two, these little groups that come out of here, right here.
This is the white flag here coming to the line, and Schmidt's just going to edge him out here. Fralick trying everything that he can. Ultimately concedes the position here, having a little fun down on the front straightaway, knows that he's lost it, but a great battle from them. So William Schmidt cuts a little bit into that points lead that Fralick's got. 2 races to go now, still plenty of time to make it up, but the window is closing.
Yeah, I think the drop weeks they're gonna change things. It'll depend how that all falls, because for someone like William Schmidt, it kind of gives him a disadvantage having less races. If he doesn't have a lot of bad finishes, that drop week only hurts him. So it'll be interesting to see what that changes points wise as we continue to move forward. But at some point they'll likely even out, and we'll just have to see. But he's always going to be at that disadvantage because he'll be missing a couple races from obviously not running everything this season.
And it looks like we will bring in our third place finisher here tonight, Nate Stewart. We talked about the off strategy there, pitting at the absolute first window that you could. What was the mentality there? And unfortunately didn't hang on for the win, but it was it netted you a third place finish there. What was the mentality there with the off strategy?
I was bored and wanted to try something different. I mean, whenever we ran excuse me, whenever we ran Watkins Glen here in the eNASCAR qualifying Road to Pro series few months ago, I don't remember exactly when it was. The short pit worked because you were just able to fend off with dirty air and stuff. I was kind of hoping it would have been the same way tonight, because on that first run I felt like the dirty air was kind of bad behind Joe. So like, I just wanted to try something different. I knew I wasn't going to win it on pace necessarily, just because I don't race this car as often these guys do. I don't really know what I'm doing. So I just wanted to try something different. Maybe could have caught a caution or something coming off pit road and got track position, or like something. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. But I mean, a podium is still a podium.
Absolutely. Well, I can't blame you there for going for the off strategy, the undercut there, trying to make it work. You gave us a storyline to definitely follow there in the beginning of the race. It was great to watch you march back through all the pit cycles and everything. Didn't quite have enough to hold off Armstrong and Walker there. Talk about just when he caught you there. I mean, did you feel like you haven't had anything for him, or was it just let him eat at that point? Because I mean, the tire advantage was clear and present.
Yeah, the tire advantage is great, and whenever Joe got to me, I mean, he threw it in on me and kind of bodied me out of the way. I mean, it is what it is. Kind of wish the pass would have been a little bit cleaner, but I ain't too worried about it. He was going to pass me anyways, and then I just decided to let Aiden go the next lap, because I mean, I wasn't going to be able to fend Aiden off, so I figured my best shot at the win was let Aiden go, and then maybe those two get the racing, maybe have an issue of some sort, and they didn't. Thankfully, hopefully they put on a good show, and then I was just kind of out for a Sunday drive after I let Aiden go, because I sure wasn't going to catch up on speed.
For the record, I absolutely called that. I figured that was what you were doing with that move there, to try and just let them race and see if they come back to you. I absolutely respect it. It's the exact same thing I would have done in that scenario. So a great race from you. Still nets you a third place finish, which it ain't nothing to sniff at. It's still a great finish and a great race here tonight. Next week, looking forward, is Legacy Atlanta, that old surface there with that high-powered Gen 4 car. Going to be a lot of slipping and sliding. How are you feeling about that one?
I mean, if I decide to race, I think it could be fun. Recently, as of late, I've been so enamored in the eNASCAR Contender Series that I just haven't really had the time or necessarily want to do anything else. But the last race is coming up next Tuesday, and I just kind of wanted to take a break and do something a little bit different. That's kind of why I showed up tonight, because it's a road course. I love road racing. Don't necessarily love the Gen 4 car. Yeah, I wasn't really a fan of how it drove tonight. But maybe if I get the inkling to show up next Thursday, I might. But I'll just have to see how Tuesday and contender goes, and then we'll go from there. Might decide to take a break after that, but you might see me in another race or two this season.
Well, based on your performance here tonight, I can't wait to see what you can do in races to come. Certainly had a great run here tonight. Going to be definitely looking to continue that momentum with that third place finish here tonight once again. Before we let you go, Nate, do you have anybody to thank out there for your awesome run tonight?
Yeah, first off, thanks to you guys for broadcasting. Thank you to Oates and everyone who puts this league on. It's fun to come run every once in a while. And shout out to all my sponsors. Most importantly, Sembrat Market. Make sure to go check out sembratmarket.com for all sorts of iRacing graphical needs. They have paint bases, textures, camera packs, you name it. Make sure to go check them out. Tell them I sent you. Join their Discord. Just go support Sembrat Market. Apex Action Photography, that's myself. I do iRacing screenshots, most notably. And as of recent, the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series I've helped out with, and not to do my own horn, hopefully we'll be driving it next year. And the off-road dirt stuff that Connor Berry puts on, the iRacing regional series, I can't remember exactly what he calls it. Those are my two main areas, and then I do a lot of stuff myself, so I take commissions. You can always reach out on Discord if you'd like screenshot commissions. And then Rexford Engineering, Dead Zone Racing, and yeah, that's about all I got. Thank you guys for your time.
Well, thanks for talking to us, Nate. A great run once again. Go enjoy your third place finish here tonight, and we hope to see you back here on Thursday nights going forward.
Yeah, for sure.
And with that, we will move in our second place finisher, Aiden Walker. Elliot, take it away.
Yeah, Aiden, interested to see you back week 2 here. Really great battle you had with Joe Armstrong. I keep saying you're new to the league. Would you just like to cover the fact? I think this is your second race.
I'm not new to the league. I've ran seasons before this. It's just I haven't been able to run many seasons recently because stuff gets in the way and things. So, but I have ran this league. I ran it last year, almost full time.
Well, it's great to have you back. Great to see you running up front. You want to talk about your strategy with Joe? Obviously, you pitted a little bit different than him. Did you think you had anything for him there at the end?
I feel like if I didn't miss my I didn't miss my pistol. I went slightly too far to the right, which just messed over my entire run there. Because if I didn't go too far to the right, I probably would have been ahead of Joe. But the thing is, I probably would have lost time from battling with Nate, because I know Nate was probably going to, battle for the lead as hard as possible, try causing a line. But after that, just was like, I need to just get back up there and just hope that Nate and Joe battle very, very hard, which they did, and just get up there. And once Joe gets by, I need to get by Nate as fast as possible, which he let me by. I respect that a lot. And after that, pretty much just was trying to chase down Joe for the rest of the run, which almost got, but it was a very fun battle.
Yeah, we were mildly entertained. A lot of great racing between you and him, and you ran really well at the beginning too. Obviously, looking forward to the end of the season. We've only got 3 races left. You ran really well at Iowa, obviously really well at Watkins, Glen. I kind of expect the same thing from you moving forward. Do you have any of these circle between Atlanta, Lucas Oil, and Auto Club?
Auto Club, I'm probably gonna hate to death because I did a 250 lap race there with a bunch of pro guys. That was not enjoyable for me. I'm usually very bad at Auto Club, so IRP could be a chance for me, but I know Joe's probably gonna be insane there too. So, if I get to run this league for the rest of the season, the only problem is I have another league that I'm running right now full time, and I'm in the playoffs. So, I'll try making this league because luckily it's a little before most of the time I might be able to make it, so you might see me again.
Well, we're definitely looking forward to it. Obviously, 2 really strong runs back to back here, despite the mistakes that you mentioned tonight and the issue that you had at Iowa. 2 top 5s. Looking forward to what you bring to the table moving forward. Anyone you want to thank for tonight?
I gotta thank my sponsors, Cogdale Motor Company, Lively's Custom Diecast, Blue Line Tennessee, and SKS Motorsports. Go follow them on Twitter.
All right, Aiden, we appreciate you, and go enjoy your second place finish, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon before the season's over.
Thank you.
That was
And
Aiden
last but
Walker.
certainly not least, we will bring in our winner tonight, Joe Armstrong. Joe, back-to-back wins last week at Iowa, now tonight at Watkins Glen. You've got 3 wins in the last 5 races. How are you feeling about your performance here tonight? It was absolutely awesome to watch you battle there with Aiden Walker throughout that final run.
Yeah, it was a fun race. I felt like I kind of almost gave that away, to be honest, a few times. It wasn't one of my best performances, especially compared to like the races I've run so far this season. But yeah, I qualified on pole, led the first 15 to 20 laps or whatever it was, and Nate pit, and I knew the strategy he was going to go on, but I tried not to fall for it. And then when Aiden pitted, he was catching me before we all pitted. I was like, I gotta pit, and I guess he made a mistake on pit road, and I was able to stay in front of him and track down Nate, got around Nate, and Walker was still catching me, and he got to me, gave me a fight. I had to be like pretty perfect, and like I said, I made a couple mistakes, but fortunately he wasn't able to capitalize on them, and I was able to win. So yeah, this is my 4th win in 5 races, and so hopefully the trend can continue, but only time will tell, I guess.
You're definitely on a tear here recently, and another dominating performance, like you mentioned, led all the laps that mattered for sure. Did you have a spot? We were just so enamored with that battle there with Aiden at the end. Did you have a spot, because you guys were so tight there, bumper to bumper for pretty much the last 10 laps? Did you have a spot that you felt like you could definitely keep him at bay, or were you just going through there and just hoping that you didn't make a mistake or that he did?
I really didn't have a spot. I think he was better than me pretty much everywhere besides turn 11, to be honest. And I was able to, like, the bus stop was probably my worst spot. I just couldn't get in there deep and get the car pointed back left, and so I would give up a lot of time to him and Nate through there. And fortunately, I was able to kind of not make too many mistakes to where he could get inside. I was just good enough to keep him behind me, but through the S's was where he made up a lot of his time. His line through there was pretty obscure compared to my line, and he gained a lot of time through there. So yeah, he was better than me tonight, to be honest with you. And I think had he not made that mistake on pit road, he probably would have won, to be honest.
Well, I believe you share that opinion with Walker himself. He said it, he mentioned it when we were just interviewing him a moment ago that yeah, he was a little too far right in his pit stall, and that's what messed him up there. But all in all, still a great battle between the two of you. It was awesome to watch. Still can't get over it, to be honest with you. It was amazing, classic road course racing here. Looking ahead, next week, Atlanta, but the old version, the 08 Scan Legacy version. How are you feeling about that old, worn-out surface with these high-powered cars? How are you feeling about wheeling around that 1.5 miler?
Well, unfortunately for you, fortunately for the rest of the field, but unfortunate for you guys and myself, I will not be racing next week. I'll be out of town, and so I'll unfortunately miss that. But I know it would be a lot of fun. I guess comparable to Vegas. In some ways, it's just a mile and a half, really the only similarity. But it's gonna stink that I'm gonna miss that race because I love the Gen 4 on mile and a half. So I'll be back for IRP and finish out the year at where are they? at Auto Club. Those will be my last two, and obviously, but really stinks that I'm going to miss Atlanta, but it is what it is, I guess. Life happens.
Well, I'll flip this on you then. Do you have, between IRP and Auto Club, do you have one circle that you're looking forward to the most?
IRP for sure. I think with the pace that I've had at the short tracks this season, that should be one that I can dominate and continue to trend on. But Auto Club, I'd love to run too. I think I won the last. Yeah, I won Auto Club last season, and so I've got a pretty good track record at both tracks. So there really shouldn't be any reason why I don't finish the season with 6 wins. But like I said, only time will tell. It's a lot of racing left, so yeah.
Well, we'll definitely look forward to seeing you at those 2 races. Coming off of this win here tonight in Watkins Glen. Before we let you go, Joe, do you have anybody to thank for your awesome run here tonight?
Thanks to myself. Thanks to Sim Seats for giving me this rig. Thanks to you guys for putting it on the broadcast. Thanks to Jonathan Oates and all the admins for putting on this race in this series. This was my 100th start in the series, and so that's why I was in the 25 Ritz car, because that was my first ever start, and also back at Auto Club in like mid 2021. So to be here 3.5 years later and run that scheme and be with a similar group of guys, it's pretty cool. So yeah, thanks to them, and I've learned a lot in the 100 starts. So I'm still learning, but like I said, glad I could come in tonight with the 25 Ritz car and put it in victory lane.
Well, you sure look like you've learned here a lot here tonight, getting that win in dominating fashion. Joe, once again, congratulations, and thank you so much for talking to us. Thanks for your time. Go enjoy your win, man, and we'll look forward to seeing you at IRP in 3 weeks.
Okay, thank you. Y'all have a great night.
And that about wraps up all of our interviews of your top 3 here tonight. So we'll wrap up here. Elliot, closing thoughts on a wild Watkins Glen race here tonight.
I think we talked a lot about Armstrong, Walker, and Stewart, but I think there's something to write home about Joshua Chin. Didn't have the qualifying that he needed. Obviously messed up his lap, came in late and everything. But 6.7 seconds off the leader from 24th to 4th. Incredible run from him tonight. And something else that the record won't show is just how well Jack Painter started this race in 14th and gained a few spots, but will unfortunately go home in 26th. Another guy that's top 10 in points. I was really looking for something positive tonight and just didn't really get it. And on the back of that, Nolan Sanford is another guy that ended up 17th after starting 17th. And Steven Gibson from 26th to 13th. All these guys kind of just finding their way through tonight, right around that like 6th to 8th in points. Brian Lindauer is another one that ended up right around 10th after starting 8th. So it'll be interesting to see, now that we're done with the road courses, how these guys attack the intermediates and the short track that are left on the schedule. But very excited to see how this top 10 in points kind of cycles itself out by the end here.
Yes, and speaking of points, we have the updated points here. I'm not sure if our producer has a new graphic for us, and it looks like he does right there. So way to go, Jeff, being on it. Cole Freilich holds a 20-point lead over William Schmidt. We talked about how William finished right in front of Freilich tonight, cut 2 points out of the lead. So still within striking distance with 2 races to go, but he's got a lot of work to do and might have to rely on a little bit of bad luck from on Freilich's end to try and catch him. But still a race that is very much alive with 2 races to go in the championship. Meanwhile, Kendall Carpenter, the opposite being the case, with a very unfortunate night, finishing all the way back in 21st, lost about 20 points. And so that pretty much, not so mathematically, but all but takes him out of that championship fight after having such a good season early on. So now it comes down to Freilich and Schmidt for the final 2 spots in the final 2 races. So going forward, it looks to be very interesting as we head to IRP next week and Auto Club. That'll just about wrap. Well, I take that back. I apologize. We're gonna go through the field one last time. I jumped the gun there on that one. So we'll give you a full rundown here before we get on out of here. Joe Armstrong comes home your winner. Aiden Walker in second. They put on an awesome battle there to watch for the back half of the race there. Nate Stewart as well led some laps, got up there, made his presence known. Josh Chen as well coming home in fourth, all the way up from 24th, the big story of the night. That charge from the back of the pack, a great run from Josh Chen. Brings it home fourth. William Schmidt fifth over his championship rival Cole Freilich sixth. A tight points battle between the two of them. It continues to show here at Watkins Glen. Ryan Vargas, a quietly good night. Started sixth, finished seventh. Only spot that he gave up was to the hard charging Joshua Chin. So great night from Vargas. Pretty much the same story from Gabe Wood. Finished eighth, started ninth in that one. And then Isaac Johnson cracks the top 10, starting 12th. Will bring it home ninth in the ninth position. And Bryden Lindauer slips from the 8th spot all the way back. He will round out your top 10.
Harry Grindell, someone we didn't really talk about. A lot of these guys between 11th and 20th are big chargers, and we'll get into that. But Harry Grindell started 11th, finished 11th. Chris Pervalarkis dropped a couple spots after starting 10th, ends up 12th. Stephen Gibson, John Daniels are two guys. John with that off strategy. Gibson just starting at the rear there. 26th to 13th for him. Daniels 25th to 14th. Josh Stoltz from 16th to 15th. Caden Reif drops a few spots, goes from 13th on the starting grid to 16th in the finish. Nolan Sanford didn't move at all, 17th to 17th. However, he was running outside the top 20 with about 5 or 6 laps left, so real strong climb from him at the end. Frankie DeSarlo from 28th, literally last on the field, to 18th. Nice strong run. We didn't talk about him all night, and sometimes that's just good. That's how you want it. But 10 positions gained to finish 18th. Mo Perry from 18th to 19th, and Gavin Newton started 20th and will finish 20th.
Your big loser on the night, Kendall Carpenter, finishes 21st. We talked about the loss in points there. He brings it home outside of the top 20 for, I believe, the first time this season. Honestly, he's had a pretty good run at it. Unfortunately, it looks like it's going to slip away from him here in the closing races, so he will bring it home in the 21st position. Andrew Brodsky, 22nd tonight. Levi Wolf brings it home 23rd. Jonah Malashak finishes in the 24th position. Jackson Sims, we saw the disconnect from him, 25th. Jack Painter, we noted his issues, simply cannot catch a break. He will bring it home in the 26th position. Nick Roten, 27th. And Jonathan Oates, Jeremy Cook, and Marcus Vanderlee will round out your top 30, them not getting the starts. That'll just about wrap it all up here from Watkins Glen, from all of us at Split Second Broadcasting. I've been Hunter Brittle alongside Elliot Henderson, with Jeff Johnson in the producer's booth behind the scenes. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you next week for IRP. Going to go short track. Or I take that back. We're going to Atlanta. We're going to Legacy Atlanta. I'm all over the place tonight. Legacy Atlanta, and that'll be a great race for sure, with that old surface slipping and sliding with these high-powered cars. It's going to be an awesome one. We hope you'll join us. Same bat time, same bat channel next week on the Split Second Broadcasting Network. Thank you so much for watching here tonight. We will see you next week. Good night.
Hands in the sky if you got a dream. Learn nothing was blocking me. I was the problem, the only one stopping me. I didn't like it, I had to refocus. Now I'm devoted, I know where I'm going. Controlling emotions, I'm owning the moment in order